Hello, I'm Glenn W. Hunter, and joining me here today is James, that yoga dude Woods, and Shor Denny of Community Now. And we're here with TIPS, i.e., Trauma Informed Prevention Services of the Inland Empire. And what we're doing is talking about primarily social emotional learning and a lens that affects our youth, our communities, as we're going through this unprecedented time of social upheaval, also known as the pandemic, right? So COVID-19 is very much a part of who we are, and we're looking at different perspectives, how it impacts our community. And I'm proud to have these individuals who have very deep tentacles into the Inland Empire and the community through the work they do. And now they're sharing some of that with you as we try and figure out what's going on with our youth and how they're going to get through summer in this new normal. So James, I'm gonna start with you. I mean, despite COVID-19 being such a big game changer, summer's upon us, and we're beginning to reopen our society. Kids being kids, how do you see our middle schoolers, our high schoolers, changing behaviors as they get beyond being sheltered in place and the restrictions that all of that means?
Wow, that's a really good question, Glenn. It makes me think about how our youth behaviors are impacted by the adults they're around. It's a game of observation. So I think we're going to see a myriad of different behaviors because you got to think about it. Some youth are sheltered in place with parents who are still in work, essential workers, and still out doing their thing. And some youth are there with parents who are at home. And a lot of these parents who are at home are not dealing with their stress in a way that's positive. And so these youth are going to be mirroring those behaviors. So you might see youth who are relying on food a little bit more to deal with a stressful test. You might see youth who are running towards the phones more or running towards the video games more. Or you might see those youth who have been at home with the parents who decided that I am not going to succumb to the stress. I'm going to get out and walk every day. I'm going to change my eating habits. So you have a different opportunities for youth to observe different behaviors that are going on with their parents. And you have to think about it. Youth are spending more time with each other and more time with teachers than they are with parents. Well, now that's reversed. They spending so much time with their parents. They're having their parents as a role model. Now, if their parents have not done the work to heal their own traumas, if the parents have not been present with the serious stressors of a pandemic, you have those parents who are like, what am I going to do? My paycheck's not coming in. I lost my business. I lost this. I lost that. And some parents who may have mental health issues, who have been triggered severely and immensely by being home, being shut in, being stuck in. Those parents who are used to getting up and running to the every practice for baseball and cheerleading and things like that, and going to PTA meetings and stuff. Now they have to sit at home and face what they're doing. Those parents who have not been able to adjust, the youth are going to pick up a lot of those behaviors that they observe from the parents who are going through this pandemic with them. So coming back to school, that might look like youth now who have shorter tempers or shorter lengths of patience because they've been at home all summer and throughout the pandemic with a parent who has been snapping increasingly more. And before, their parent was good because, hey, I see you on the weekends. I see you after school. You got a little bit of homework we work with, and now they see a whole different parent. So hopefully we see more of the youth who have been working with the parents who decided that, hey, I'm going to take on this new class that helps me learn to deal with my stuff, or I'm going to use this time to constructively deal with my traumas that I've been working through. And so these youth can be coming back with new skills and barriers that have been broken down with the relationships with their parents. Hopefully we see more of that than the latter, where parents have been stressed out and frustrated and taking it out on their youth. And now those youth are going to come back to school emulating those same behaviors that they have seen. So let's hope for more yoga videos and healthy food eating. Hopefully more parents have been making bread than, snapping on their kids. And we're going to see what those behaviors yield in the school year. when those tests break out, when those bullying situations are there. So I'm hoping we have more kids who got into things that help them and their parents deal with the trauma than the latter. So that's what behaviors are most likely going to look like, a reflection of the parents' home.
Wow. And I think that's interesting how they're going to take some of those parental experiences and bring them out into the
That's right.
into the workplace, but into their social space.
Yeah.
You know, I like to think about the work that you do, especially when you have them in the school environment. You know, you are that yoga dude, and you get to work with school-age children from a physical, emotional wellness perspective. But after quarantine, they still have to go back and deal with their peers.
Right.
What changes do you expect as they re-engage the outside world peer to peer?
Well, you know, when a kid goes to his grandmother's house and then the parent has to reteach them how to eat, how to have manners, how to be patient because the grandparents spoil them, or going to another parent's house or something like that, or going somewhere else. So there's going to be a lot of retraining students in how to relax and calm down and be present and be patient. And so meditation practices and skills and different wellness skills, we're going to be ramping those up to a whole new level, and a level where the youth are, we have to get them also back into interacting with each other in a public space, and even interacting with each other within the schools. We don't know if it's going to look like a 6-foot distant interaction, but we have to get them back into social interaction. And we do that by bringing them into a circle, or bring them into a space where they can see each other and reconnect with how people look, reconnect with how people feel and how they express, because we've been seeing each other in these boxes for so long. It'd be best to see each other in a circle to really connect with how we are. And even in these boxes, we're used to looking at ourselves. We look at ourselves in these boxes more time than we look at each other. So what is it like to really look at someone and be present with them, and notice when their shoulders are up and they're stressed out, or notice that they're coming to school and they're frustrated and they're angry, and now that they want to pick a fight because something popped up from what happened in the pandemic and at home or whatever. So we're going to do a lot of program about youth becoming social, once again, using that social aspect, and then building those tools so they can reconnect emotionally and learn how to use those tools in the situations that schools bring up, like, once again, playing with each other, uh, playing sports with each other, taking tests and stuff. So really recreating a social environment based on relieving the stress that came from being isolated is going to be our primary work that we do. And of course, we're going to do that through building a relationship with themselves through the yoga and the meditation, and then using that to connect with their peers in school. So I'm excited to do the work in a different way and to help the children to rebuild themselves socially with new skills and new abilities to connect with one each other on a deeper and more empathetic level. I'm very excited.
Wow. So while we're moving from that type of focus, what I wanted to do is something a little bit different. Sure, I know that your background also involves interacting with youth and getting them to cope better, but I wanted to pass on the next question to you as we put James on the hot seat.
Well, I'm just really interested and excited about your craft. And I struggle through this quarantine, and I'm looking for ways of being mindful, right? I mean, people throw that word mindful around,
Right.
all of the stuff around. Well, I'm trying to stay fit and trying to stay mentally well through my quarantine. Are there things that I can do with my family to keep me mentally well? I really wanted to learn a little more, like maybe not take me through the dog pose, or if that's the name of it, or one of the yoga positions, but the theory of yoga, that yoga dude, the theory of that in this quarantine. What does that mean to us? What can we take from you that we can use, you know, um, other than, I hope you give us your information on how to actually connect with you on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
yoga with you, but in your philosophy, what do you have for us? What can me and my daughters do?
So to me, yoga is a transitional tool. Yoga is all about adaptation. And it's about adaptation because we are constantly in a state of change within our life, right? You are one way in the beginning of the day, then you're another way at the end of the day. Unless you're like Glenn and you're just amazingly handsome throughout the whole day.
Oh,
But for the rest of us, as we go through these changes, we need to have different transitional tools to make it happen. When you think about a car, you're thinking about, well, back in the day when people used to drive stick, you have to go through those different gears. You have to first go through neutral to get into another gear. You have to first go through neutral, even if you want to rev up or rev down, you got to go through neutral to make it happen. Yoga is that time for you to go through neutral before you rev up or rev down, to be with your family, to be with your children, to even be with your husband, your wife, whatever. And neutral for yoga is being with yourself. So understanding the relationship of being with yourself first is important before you shift to that next gear for your family and those other people who are living with it. And that looks like taking time. That looks like taking time to step away and have a drink of water without the phone in your hand, without the CNN, the UPN, or whatever in blasting, without having someone tugging on you, asking a question. I think this is such a great opportunity because I've been more in control of my schedule because I'm not driving from here and driving for there. So instead of that time that I spent to go hang out with Glenn and Shor, I have that time to sit on my mat for a second. Just sit down on the mat and then just take notice of what comes up. It might be anger and frustration that you're still locked in, or it might be happiness that you don't have to run and go through the mat. But taking a seat, and because of the quarantine, the pandemic, a lot of us have had to carve out different spaces within our own home to identify as a space of peace, because we are using these dual spaces. Okay, this is a space of work and this is a space of living. Like, I have to live in here and I have to work in here. So for me, I had to consciously say, okay, this is the space where I only do work at. This is the space where I only do what I need to do to relax and calm down. So that already starts bringing our mind into a state of, okay, I've been blending work and life so long. I now have the opportunity to make those distinctions. And that means I now have the opportunity to focus on me and what I need in those different times. So that's already you going into neutral, thinking about it. Like, what do I need right now? Not what my boss needs, not how can I make it here before 3 o'clock and traffic hits, not can I make it here before happy hour is over. I'm right here. This is all I have. So this is all I need, and taking time to really assess what do I need. And one of the biggest parts of that I think yoga is misconstrued is it's not about the body first. The body is a byproduct. But back in the day, the yogis up in the mountains or whatever, and even yoga originated in Egypt. And if you see in the hieroglyphics and stuff like that, prior to, I'm going to a mini history
I had
lesson.
no idea.
Prior to it moving into the Indus Valley, into the India, it was in Egypt. And as you see on the hieroglyphics, they have these different poses and stuff like that. And then it just moved down into India through there. So, and it's been documented. People got into these poses, they got into these flexible poses so they can learn how to be still. If you can sit down, if you sit down on the ground, your hips are going to start to hurt, your knees are going to start to hurt. But if you do all these stretches and stuff, your shoulders and your hips will open up so you can sit down for a long time, so you will be able to meditate, so you will be able to be still, so you can sit in the neutral for even longer. So you're not revving up high, revving up low.
Wow.
So being mindful of you is you combing your hair because you don't have a beautician to go to now. You're just taking care of yourself. Glenn, you did a great. You're being mindful is you brushing your teeth without having to hurry up and rush through the door because you're late for a meeting you got to make it to. Being mindful is you sitting in your patio or sitting by the window and getting some sun on your face. Being mindful is you taking breath or taking that walk around your neighborhood at whatever time of the day you committed to doing that. And being mindful is forgiving yourself when you messed up on that commitment because you scheduled something else or you decided to watch Housewives instead. Just being mindful is constantly checking in with yourself before you go interact with other people, especially the people that you love, or even if you don't love them, they're in your house and you're going to have to deal with them on a constant basis. So having time, having space to check into that neutral before you rev up into something and before you rev down into whatever your downtime is important. It's yoga. Like I said, yoga is all about adaptability. How can you adapt to the constant changes and the constant stressors that are in life? Even after quarantine, it's still going to be something change. The Dow is going to rise and fall. The worth of the dollar is going to fall through. We're going to get grants. We're going to get all these amazing things. So how can we still stay in a place where we're mindful? How can we move through neutral before we have to hurry up and rush and take care of the needs of this grant and everything like that? So taking this time to adapt to life and have that practice of constantly adapting to life is yoga. And the material that I like to put out is about educating people on what it means, not just what it looks like, not just, oh, can it make my butt look amazing, but how can it make your relationships with your children? How can it make the relationships with your spouse? How can it make, importantly, the relationship with you and how you are handling things? So being able to notice and investigate constantly the change that is going on in your life is the most essential tool that we are imparting into the kids that we work with. And we do it through breath. We do it through being present. We do it through being focused. We do it through concentrating. We do it through helping them to heal those different traumas by being able to observe those traumas outside of themselves and not constantly identifying themselves with, oh, I get beat at home, so that means I'm the one that's constantly needs to be beat. No, that's a situation that you need to observe. Now, how are you feeling about that? How did it make you think? How did it make you interact with other people? Why are you shy? Why are you cutting people off? By building a practice of sitting down and meditating, these questions starting to come up in your mind. By being able to move and stretch your body starts to open up and release that tension. So you start to notice, I feel different when I stretch. I feel different when I'm watching the news. And then when I'm watching this peaceful video right here, I'm able to calm down and relax. So yoga's about adjusting. I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry, y'all.
I thought it was awesome, though. Quite awesome.
No,
That's it.
no worries at all. I mean, tremendous insight. You know, and Shor, I want to kind of drag you into this because as James is talking about this, these different inflections of young people as they're expressing themselves, I like to think about children being resilient and, you know, similar skill. But after being in familiar places and confined for so long, now they're able to be out. What do you think our young people should do first as they get out and start engaging again?
They should be mindful, right? I think would be the first thing. And think of their families, think of the risk factors. They need to think of their responsibility. I think right now all families should be talking to their youth about that responsibility that they have, not only to themselves, to their families, but to humankind. Right now our youth are the carriers, right? Basically they're not getting it, but they're carrying it around. So, and as James said, all of our youth are going to be impacted on the home. What's happening in that home? What have the parents been doing and talking about? Is their sister very asthmatic? Is someone in the home, you know, is their immune system compromised? Those are going to be very, very at the forefront of what these youth are thinking when they go out into the street. So some are going to lag. Some aren't going to go out right now. The safety for them and their family is going to be holding back, right? Let's see what's out there really. You know, is it worth going out, or will this illness grow if, you know, we all start moving about, right? So there are going to be some that are going to do that. There are going to be some that have no risk factors that they know of. They are wondering why we're even wearing masks in the first place, you know, and it's not hitting home to them. So they're going to be out there doing what they do, right, without masks. And we have those that are going to walk out of the house with the mask, but then take the mask off once they get out around their friends, right? Because then they want to be cool and they want to be in with the in crowd, or just, let's say, not bullied. Let's just put it there. They simply don't want to be bullied. So we've got all kinds of ideas and ideologies going out right now. Those kids are out. I saw them the other day. They are out, and they are doing the multiple things just like we adults are doing. Some of them are wearing masks, some of them are not. One thing that I did notice was they were not social distancing, right? They were all up on each other. They were very excited to see each other. in trauma informed and through ACEs, we know that you have to feel safe. And these youth with the misinformation that are going on right now feel safe in choosing. So we go back to what James said, and it's clearly going to be basically what's happening in the household, and then them being able to stand up to the peer pressure that's going to come with those who do not believe in the mask, which we're seeing right now in adults. It's happening right now with adults.
Right.
Wow. I
I
tell you,
like
we
that.
are. Go ahead, James.
I'm sorry. I just want to jump in on this. I think that this pandemic offers an opportunity for parents to unabashedly and without guilt say that they are afraid, that it's scary to be a parent at all times and especially now. Telling your child, I'm scared you might get COVID. I'm scared you might die. I'm scared you might get sick. I'm scared. I'm not being a nagging parent. I'm not being a worrywart. I am scared for you. And that is beneficial to both the parent and the child, for the parent to be honest and open about their emotions and to deal with it on that level. That is one of the biggest things that can help to process all the emotions and feelings that go on. Okay, I'm scared. Are you scared? What can we do about this fear that go on? Let's have a conversation about it. And let me show you how daddy handles fear instead of just reacting by, okay, now you see daddy drinking a little bit more. Now you see mama fighting a little bit more, whatever. This is how we handle emotions in this house, especially these intense emotions of fear, anxiety, and worry. Let's model these. Let's be honest with what we are feeling. Let's be honest with the fact that we don't know what's going on. We are confused and there's a lot going on. Let's take this COVID-19 epidemic to create an opportunity to have those conversations that we may have not had as children with our parents, because it, I just don't think too many parents sat down and told their children, I'm scared, I'm worried. It was just, you need to stay in the house, you do this, you can't go there, you can't go that, without having a reason behind it. Let's give our children, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I feel. And I'm going to tell you, if you want to tell me how you feel, good. But I'm going to show you and tell you, more important, I'm going to show you how I deal with the fear, the confusion, the anxiety, the anger, the frustration as going on right now in these times. I can write it down to you. I can send it in a text message. I can make a TikTok video of me dancing and pointing at all the emotions that I feel. I can do whatever I want, but I'm going to show you how I deal with these emotions in a positive way that helps me heal. And for the kids that go out, this is a great opportunity this is not a great opportunity, it's a horrible opportunity for them to be reminded of gratitude and the power of gratitude. You was not able to go anywhere for the last 2-3 months. So for you to be able to go outside, for you to be able to have that privilege is a privilege, and gratitude is has a snowball effect. Now I want you to have gratitude for just having parents that care about you. Have gratitude that you are in a place where you feel safe. Gratitude for your health. I want them to start to look around at the places that they can have gratitude, and that is a mindfulness process within itself. When you start being mindful and thinking about the things that you have been graciously given through being able to go outside and being able to have some sense of returning back to how we traditionally live in your life. So that gratitude and that transparency for both parents and children can help us return back to society in a way where we are more mindful and more emotionally and socially well, I believe.
That is how you end the podcast. I think that is very sage wisdom. I think we were able to look at what's going to be a very challenging season from a couple of different perspectives. And most importantly, we're not done yet. But we are going to have to close this one out. You're going to have to come back and get more next week. But I want to thank Shor, Denny of Community Now, James, that yoga dude Woods, and most importantly, the TIPS organization, TIPS, IE, and the work that we're doing, Trauma-Informed Prevention Services, because in the Inland Empire, we are an important market. We're an important part of the California landscape, and consequently, we're part of the national landscape. And the ideas that are coming up here will be put into place through the work we do in various school districts and communities. And more importantly, it'll be a chance to impact the future of the IE and our continued progress. Again, Glenn W. Hunter, look forward to seeing you next week. Tell a friend about us. Make sure you like us, subscribe, and we'll keep informing. Be safe.